Hello, and welcome to another video by PokeBattler. PokeBattler.com is the world's #1 most accurate raid guide and simulator for Pokemon Go. Today, we're going to talk about Mewtwo. Niantic has been giving out those X-Raid passes more and more, and we know you guys are looking for how to get more damage balls and increase your chance of catching the great Mewtwo. And you've come to the right place. We're going to go through our Mewtwo infographic, updated with weather bonuses and the latest Gen 3 releases as of the making of this video. But first, let's get to know Mewtwo. Mewtwo is a tough raid Pokemon with only 2 strong counters, Tyranitar and Mewtwo himself. Mewtwo is similar to Alakazam, but with higher defense and even higher attack. He has 2 different quick attacks, Psycho Cut and Confusion. Psycho Cut is great on offense, but not very good on defense because it's so fast. Confusion, on the other hand, is awesome on defense, while still being good on attack if a bit slow. You can tell the difference between the two by how quickly the attacks are coming out and how big of a chunk of your life is going away with each hit. To summarize, big slow attacks is Confusion, quick small fast attacks is Psycho Cut. Mewtwo is also equipped with 4 different charge moves, 3 of which are top tier for both offense and defense, and the 4th gets a stab bonus, keeping it from being, as Salandra would say, absolute garbage. Focus Blast is the first of the strong specials, and is arguably the strongest due to its covering Mewtwo's biggest weakness, Tyranitar. It is a full bar 140 power fighting move, and it will hit like a truck on both offense and defense. Fighting moves are very strong in the current game meta, as seen with Machamp's dominance in Tier 4 raids, and Focus Blast is a really awesome fighting move. Shadow Ball is the next of the strong specials, and type aside is arguably the strongest move in the game. It is a 2 bar 100 power ghost move. Great against Ghost and Psychic Pokemon. This kind of power is typically only seen with 1 bar moves. Seeing it with a 2 bar move is incredible. Hyper Beam is the last of the strong specials and is a nice, well-rounded special. It is a single bar 150 power normal move. Rarely going to be the best counter against something, but it'll rarely be a bad choice. It's really good for just clearing out gyms. Psychic is the last of the specials. It's not particularly awe-inspiring special move, as it's just a single bar 100 power move. This move is particularly bad on defense, as Tyranitar resists psychic moves, as Tyranitar will shrug off psychic moves, as Salandra says, due to his small brain size. When you do catch your Mewtwo, here are the movesets you want to look out for, so save those TMs. Confusion and Shadow Ball, great against a wide variety of raid bosses, very high DPS combo. Confusion and Focus Blast, great for attacking gyms. Focus Blast is great for taking out the majority of top gym defenders, including the big 3, Blissey, Chansey, and Snorlax. Psycho Cut and Focus Blast, also great for attacking gyms. The faster Psycho Cut does slightly less damage, but is much easier to dodge with. Now, the next combo is not currently useful. Confusion and Psychic. A good attack for fighting and poison Pokemon, meaning Machamp. Unfortunately, Psychic is a terrible 1 bar move currently. If the move gets changed, however, to a multi-bar move or an extra strong single bar move, then it could be the moveset to look out for in the future. But right now, you don't want it. Now let's start talking about the infographic and the general counters. But first, a quick note. So you can sometimes tell what special move Mewtwo has before you've done the raid based on what is auto-suggested in the game. The quick and dirty version is, if Tyranitar isn't chosen, Mewtwo has Focus Blast. And you should use the Focus Blast counters we will go over later. However, if it is picked, you should use the following counters, which are the best counters against Mewtwo, except for Focus Blast. Tyranitar. Tyranitar is by far the strongest counter against Mewtwo. He shrugs off psychic moves and has extremely strong dark moves at his disposal. If your Tyranitar has Stone Edge, don't worry. The only thing better than a Bite Stone Edge Tyranitar is a Bite Crunch Tyranitar, so you're still in good hands. If for some reason you have any other moveset for Tyranitar, including the worst moveset, which is Iron Tail Fire Blast, don't worry. Tyranitar is still the top 6 counter with that moveset. He's that strong. That said, you should TM away that Iron Tail as fast as you can because it's terrible. And Fire Blast is almost as bad. Save the fire moves for your fire Pokemon like Moltres, Flareon, and Arcanine, where they belong. Mewtwo. There is one thing in between the two best Tyranitar above, and that's a Mewtwo with Shadow Ball. Remember how I said Shadow Ball is the best move in the game? And it's great against Psychic? Guess what Mewtwo is? A Psychic Pokemon. It all makes sense. So use your Psychic Pokemon against a Psychic Pokemon and you'll do great. But wait a second. What if the defending Mewtwo has Shadow Ball too? You will still get your Shadow Balls off before he gets his off, so you will be fine. But if you have a choice, you should use Tyranitar instead against that Mewtwo. Good counters. These counters aren't nearly as good as Tyranitar and Mewtwo, but are definitely still usable. If you happen to find a level 30 to 35 weather boosted Pokemon under this list, then even better. He's great to use. I wouldn't use my Stardust on these, however, for the most part. Dragonite excluded, of course. Number 1, Houndoom. Baby Tyranitar puts in quite a showing against Mewtwo, reliably showing near the top of the counter list. Dark moves are what you're looking for, although a Fire Quick move isn't the end of the world. If you are swimming in fast TMs like I am, though, swap that to Dark, as there are better fire Pokemon out there, but Houndoom is still the number 2 dark Pokemon. Scizor. Scizor is the best bug attacker and has no issues versus Hyper Beam. He does okay against all the other forms of Mewtwo except for Focus Blast. Pinsir. Pinsir does particularly good against Shadow Ball Mewtwo if he can survive long enough to get off his specials. I wouldn't power him up, but if you have a decent one and are hurting for a slot, you can put him in. Dragonite! Good old Dragonite with Outrage is always a good general counter for like practically every raid boss in the game. You probably have a high level one if you're smart, which is even better. He's ready to go. It's no Tyranitar, to be clear, but he does make our list of good counters. A couple high-level Dragonite are some of the most Stardust-efficient general counters in the game, so you want to have some. I currently only have one high-level Dragonite right now, but I'm really hoping this upcoming Community Day gives me enough candy to get number 2. Now on to best counters versus Focus Blast. Mewtwo! He's back again! Mewtwo laughs at Focus Blast and does amazing in this matchup with Shadow Ball. You are doing some super effective double bar 100 power moves while taking a not effective single bar 140 power move. It's pretty insane just how good Mewtwo does in this particular situation. Of course, if you already have a Mewtwo and you're fighting to get another Mewtwo, you're a lucky bastard and probably don't need this infographic anyway. Gengar. Gengar is the second best Shadow Ball user in the game, but he's a very special case. He's a glass cannon. So you only want to use him if you're in a hurry or if you're short on people. It is theoretically possible to duo a Psycho Cut Focus Blast Mewtwo with Gengar with a little bit of luck if you each have like 12 of them, but it's going to be quite difficult. There is one other funny thing about Gengar. If Gengar can get through 3 confusions, he will do really well. However, if Gengar dies within 3 confusions, then he will do terrible. In short, this means you need to be at least a level 32 with 15 defense and 15 stamina, or a level 37 with 10 defense and 10 stamina to survive long enough. The exact breakpoint will depend on your situation. Check out our new advice section at pokebattler.com/advice to see exactly how far up you need to power up your Gengar in this situation. Now let's look at the good counters versus Focus Blast. Don't worry about powering up these Pokemon. Just try to find them weather boosted if you can. Pinsir! Our little bug friend pops up again as a surprisingly good attacker against Focus Blast. Gyarados. Gyarados with double dark moves is, of course, going to do quite a bit of good damage here. It is particularly good against Focus Blast, so keep that in mind if you have a high level one. I highly recommend, however, not having a single dark move Gyarados, though. With the new Waterfall Hydro Pump combo available, you should have Gyarados with double water moves for sure. If Mewtwo is carrying Focus Blast, Tyranitar is far less useful. If you mess up and still use Tyranitar against a Mewtwo with Focus Blast, you're still doing okay if Tyranitar still shows up as our number 5 counter for that moveset. But if you know ahead of time you're facing Focus Blast, you want to be using one of the 2 counters listed above and not Tyranitar. Dragonite. He pops up again. This should not surprise you. Unless the defending Pokemon is Steel or Fairy, Dragonite with its huge outrage will be hitting for full damage. Gardevoir. Gardevoir? I don't know how to say that. Gen 3 finally makes an appearance! A very interesting Psychic Pokemon with Shadow Ball is a little bit useful here. Now let's look at good counters versus normal or Hyper Beam Mewtwo. There are a couple of glass cannons to happen to double resist Hyper Beam, so if you happen to know what you are facing, then these can be useful. Gengar pops up again! Once again, you need Gengar to survive 3 confusions in order to be useful. The normal resist does help Gengar if he walks into a Hyper Beam. Bennett. Bennett? I don't know how to say these guys. Another Gen 3 pops up. Baby Gengar does okay here. I definitely wouldn't spend any Stardust on him though. He's a super squishy glass cannon. Now let's look at additional good weather counters, causing rankings to shift dramatically across the board. Tyranitar and Mewtwo are still so much better than any other option. They stay way ahead of the pack as great counters despite the 20% weather modifier. That should give you an idea of just how great they are against Mewtwo. Now let's look at Partly Cloudy. And now we see Snorlax! Good old Snorlax. It's been a while since he showed up in many of our charts. He's a very tanky option and deals a lot of damage before he dies thanks to his excellent Lick Ghost combo. Boosted in Partly Cloudy, of course. Don't have Lick, keep Snorlax in the gym so he won't be auto-selected or TM him. Snorlax is particularly good against the Shadow Ball Mewtwo, but does reasonably well against the rest of them. Fog. Shiftry, Absol, and Crawdaunt. A dark trio appears in the rarest of the weather conditions. If you can't see your face, you can use these guys! They're all a bit squishy and low level, so don't waste Stardust on them, but they're definitely good choices if it's foggy. Rainy. Raikou! The strongest electric Pokemon gets a boost in the rain, rendering him useful against Mewtwo. You should have one of these powered up already for Kyogre anyway, so you can just bust him out for Mewtwo. In rainy weather, that is. Clear. Groudon. The clear weather boost makes a powerful Solar Beam Groudon good against Mewtwo. Groudon is pretty much always amazing in clear weather, which is the most common weather type in the game. Having a good Solar Beam Groudon powered up will be of great use in clearing gyms and against practically almost every raid boss. We highly recommend powering up a Groudon whose best stat is attack. Entei and Moltres. These two firemen... Entei and Moltres. These two fire Pokemon also happen to do quite well in clear weather. Also worth powering one each up if you have enough rare candy. Windy. We gave Windy its own separate full list as Mewtwo gets a boost from Windy, making him more of a beast than ever. Ooh, those confusions are gonna hit hard! And Gengar in particular is going to get slaughtered. Windy is not very common weather type, but if you do get it during your raid, you will be rewarded with a level 25 instead of a level 20 Mewtwo, saving yourself lots of Stardust and candy. Tyranitar and Mewtwo. These two Pokemon don't care about wind. Tyranitar still resists the psychic moves, and Mewtwo's own psychic attacks hit harder too. Dragonite. Dragonite gets a 20% boost in Windy, making him a better attacker than ever in windy weather. Houndoom and Absol. These dark Pokemon with their double resists move up in the charts versus the Vicious Confusions and Psycho Cuts. Scizor. Scizor is a very quick 3-bar attack, letting Scizor sneak in his special attacks before dying. Lugia. Lugia is a very tanky Pokemon and gets nice damage boost in windy weather. Now let's talk about how to get an invite. If only it was easy to figure out. Currently, Mewtwo is available via an invite-only system. The best ways we know to get an invite are raid at sponsored gyms like Sprints and Starbucks, have a silver or gold badge at a particular gym, and get really lucky. We know that many players are frustrated with the way the invites are passed out currently, and this is subject to change. Niantic is still figuring things out. I guess we'll just have to see what the future brings. Conclusion. 4.5 months has really shaken up the Pokemon Go raid scene. Players have gotten even more and more legendaries than ever and have powered up their very good Pokemon even further. User interface changes in the game have made specials easier to use without losing any DPS. Gen 3 has added a few additional good options to counter various bosses. Finally, weather has completely shaken up the game, making infographics like these harder and harder to make, which I personally do not appreciate because I have to make them. We've done our best to simplify things down, but we highly recommend using our custom raid guides at pokebattler.com/raid. Entering in your exact Pokemon using our Pokebox feature will always give you your best counters. Thanks so much for watching this video. We hope it was super helpful, and we hope you get out there and catch a ton of great Mewtwo.